Okay, so a bunch of the code you're actually proud of, the clever workarounds, the hand-rolled stuff, kind of just died at dub-dub 26. And here's the part that gets me, your agent doesn't know yet. Like, it's writing that exact code right now, full confidence. All right, Swift first, and the theme this year, which I didn't see coming, honestly, is the compiler slowly turning into the teammate you don't have. And big one, you call a throwing function inside a task, you don't catch the error. The compiler warns you now by default, and before this, the error just it evaporated, no log, no crash, nothing. And be honest, how much of the task code in your app lately did you actually type yourself? Right, yeah. Agents love firing async work into a task and cruising on, and when something in there throws, the agent's long gone and you're the one squinting at a bug report that makes no sense. So the compiler's basically the reviewer leaning over your shoulder now, and honestly, it's the only reviewer most of us get. I'll take it. Then there's this like new at diagnose attribute, and okay, at first I filed it under whatever. It silences warnings on a single method instead of the whole project. Fine, nice. But it flips the other way too. You can enable warnings per method or treat warnings as errors on just that one method. And that's where it clicked for me. Take the file your agent wrote that you merged a little too fast. You know exactly which file I mean, and turn warnings into errors right there. Just there. That's a leash on precisely the code you trust least, and it costs you nothing anywhere else. And I genuinely think it's the most solo dev feature of the whole keynote, and nobody's talking about it. Tell me I'm wrong. Memberwise initializers understand visibility now, mix public and private properties on a struct, and you get a separate generated init per level. Boilerplate, you've been handwriting forever, gone. And availability. Remember Apple lining up all the OS version numbers last year? This year we cache that in. There's an anyAppleOS blanket statement, so you stop listing every platform like you're reading a keynote intro, and a new module selector operator, the double colon, for disambiguating overloads. The old syntax flat out couldn't express. It's meant for macros and generated code. And here's the thing. If your own handwritten stuff needs it everywhere, that's not a tool, that's a diagnosis. And watch your agent on this one, because you give a model a shiny new operator, and it will absolutely reach for it instead of fixing the naming collision. Just real quick, and I'm Daniel, been in the iOS trenches for over 9 years, started as a UI guy, drifted into full-on dev, spent way too long shipping other people's ideas. Then dub-dub 25 happened, and I just went for it solo, all in, crafted over 26 of my own apps since, all built in public and not quick MVPs, not AI slop, apps meant to actually hold up. Everything I've got is in Crafter's Lab now, my home base. Not another tutorial site, definitely not an AI clone farm, more like a live workshop. Me building in the open with my agents and the crew right there in Slack. It's for solo devs who use AI like a real teammate, not a vending machine you smack when you're stuck. If you build with care, you'll feel at home. And if you're still riding with Patreon, genuinely, thank you. But everything's at crafterslab.dev now, so come be part of the crew. Okay, SwiftUI, and the first one looks like a settings toggle, but it's actually a design bomb. Liquid glass, right? The whole too transparent to read drama. Apple's answer this year is they handed the dial to the user. First boot on iOS 27. You pick how much transparency you want, which sounds like a peace treaty until wait, sit with it for a second. There is no single liquid glass anymore. There's a range. It's dynamic type all over again. A spectrum you design across, not a look you approve once. And solo, that lands straight on you, because you'll only ever run your own setting. Come on, you will, I will. Which means some of your users are looking at a version of your UI you have never seen once, ever. The fix is boring. Drag the slider to both ends on every screen you care about. And no, your agent can't do this one for you. It's an eyes job. Then there's this cluster I can't stop reading as one thing. Previews resize dynamically now. Toolbar items can declare a visibility priority for when space runs out. iPad apps get a customizable inactive state, so it's obvious which window has focus. And I mean multiple APIs about gracefully losing space in one summer. That's a folding phone. Nobody will confirm it, but actually, maybe I'm pattern matching too hard here. I don't know. I did a whole video on size classes dying, though, and this is Apple saying the same thing again louder. Design for the space you're given, not the device, they keep telling us. At what point do we start believing them? Two more. Tab bar items get a prominent role, one feature of your app visually elevated, shopping cart kind of thing. And honestly, the discipline is the feature. Pick one because promote everything and your app reads like a fairground. And for toolbar items that must always stay reachable, share button, say, there's a pin trailing role now that guarantees it never folds away, no matter how tight things get. Small API, real trust. The user's thumb learns where things live, and now you can actually promise it stays there. All right, this is the section that pays for the video. Drag and drop. If you've ever hand-rolled reordering in SwiftUI, you know it's edge cases wearing a trench coat. Now it's reorderable. On each movable item, a reorder container on the parent with a few details. Done, out of the box. And swipe actions used to be chained to list, which was always weirdly limiting. Now any container view takes a swipe actions container modifier and you're free. An async image finally caches. It will not refetch the same image every time it lands on screen. So that midnight image cache you hand rolled, the one that mostly works and low-key scares you, yeah, it's inventory now. Invisible ones, and these might matter most. At state got reworked for properties. Holding an at observable class, the old behavior spun up a fresh instance on every view recreation, just to immediately throw it away. That's gone. Free performance, zero code changes, and then the big promise, the infamous compiler cannot type check this expression error, should mostly be behind us because they rebuilt how views compile with more hints for the compiler. And look, I want to believe that error has been gaslighting me for years. You add one ternary, and the build just gives up on life. So I'm at one eyebrow up until my gnarliest view compiles clean. I'll report back. But here's the catch under this whole section, the part I actually need you to hear. None of these APIs exist in your agent's head. Zero, training data ends before dub, so left alone. Claude Code keeps writing the old workaround. Cleanly, confidently, wrong. This is where the Xcode skills thing pays off. I went deep on it in my dub highlights video. Xcode 27 ships with real agent skills. There's a terminal command to export them as plain markdown, and they drop straight into Claude Code or Codex. And the part that still gets me is Apple just letting that happen. The walled garden company handing you its agent's brain to carry into whatever tool you actually live in. So the play tonight, export the skills, drop them into your harness, run the delete pass, point the agent at your code base, and you hunt everything the platform just absorbed, because every deleted line is a line you never debug again. Mine's a ritual now, and no joke. Favorite session of the year. Delete in code, an agent helped write using knowledge. Apple gave the agent. There's something very right about that loop, you know what I mean? So, yeah, if you're still here, honestly, you're a legend. And zooming out, this whole dub is one idea in different outfits. The compiler covers you where you have no reviewer. The canvas keeps moving. So you design for space instead of devices, and the platform ate a pile of your workarounds, which stings for about a minute until you realize an agent can adopt all of it in an evening. Solo devs have never absorbed a platform shift this fast, and what a time to be building, honestly. And if you actually want to go deeper on any of this, come check out crafterslab.dev. Built it myself. I dog food it every single day, and it's harness agnostic on purpose. Claude Code, Codex, Cursor, whatever ships next. Which, after this video, is kind of the whole point, right? It's not a tutorial dump. It's not another one of those AI clone farms. It's a live workshop. I made it for solo devs who treat AI like an actual teammate, not just a button you smash when you're stuck. And I'll be real with you, it's not some polished product. And you'll probably ignore a good half of it and live in the two corners that fit how you build, which is fine, honestly. That's kind of how it's supposed to work. And yeah, full walkthroughs, real to the point video tutorials, plus the actual files, skills, agent instructions, the stuff you'd otherwise build from scratch. You download them, drop them straight into a project, and go. Members jump into the comments, ask follow-ups. We go back and forth until the thing actually clicks. Real threads about real work. You get the idea. And all of it syncs straight into Slack, which is where the crew actually lives. My agents are in there too, the same army from this video, posting what they shipped into the channel while everyone builds. And it genuinely feels like everyone's in the same room. And you'd be right in it. That's the part to picture. The real core, though, is the Notion team spaces. My playbook first. And fair warning, it's kind of massive. There's no clean front door, way more in there than I could walk you through here. But that's exactly why it's worth it, because it's not really a doc library you go read. It's the actual command center where my whole AI team works. The PM writes up the tasks and drops in the research to make the app better. The builder picks those up and ships from there, and everyone leaves session notes as they go. So nothing gets lost, handing off from one agent to the next. Context management really is the name of the game with agents. And this is what it looks like as a place. Every agent walks in already knowing what happened before it showed up, and credit where it's due. Most of what's good in there the agents wrote, the PM's briefs, the builder's notes. I mostly read the handoffs and stay out of the way. It's the live ops of the studio, updating as I build, and Notion's the room they all work in. Explore it, steal from it, remix any piece of it into your own setup, and once you watch a team run like that, you kind of get why I don't build alone anymore. Then SwiftBrain, the Swift and SwiftUI vault I put together by hand, out of deep sources, paid courses, live sessions, real project notes. The niche things you'd otherwise spend a whole year hunting for. No fluff, no copy-paste blog stuff. It's the stuff I actually reach for when I'm building. Inside, there's the SwiftBrain database itself with the articles, transcripts, and references. The AI Swift Skills database with executable agent instructions for the genuinely hard UI work, complex animation, custom effects, and Apple UI Brain, curated screenshots and interface references, so the agents pull from real taste instead of guessing. The move is to duplicate the database you actually need into your own workspace, not the whole dashboard, and hand your agent the link. Notion AI, Claude Code, Cursor, Codex, anything MCP enabled. It's kept current by hand, the kind of thing you're not scraping out of any model's training data. And Ops Lab, the operations library behind everything, the blueprint I open when a new app starts, the skill I point an agent at when the UI work gets hairy, the instructions that make an agent behave like a teammate instead of a search box. Every one of them already ran on a real project. It's not really a folder of files, it's more like a library of my teammates. Substantive changes land as new dated versions linked to what came before. So you're watching the systems evolve instead of just downloading the finished thing. Pull them in, copy them, break them properly, rebuild them into your own. The point being, you're not buying my setup, you're learning the way I work, and your agents learn it right alongside you. Oh, and fresh in the lab right now, and it's literally this video's topics, a full walkthrough of how my agents coordinate without ever talking to each other, the whole handoff pattern, briefs, and session notes moving between roles, ready for you to lift straight into your own setup instead of paying anyone for telepathy. So come be part of the crew, actually part of it. What changes when you're in is you stop building in a vacuum. You get the room, the crew, the agents, and someone to swap notes with the moment the thing you're building gets weird. The crew's still small and properly hands-on, and prices are going to move as it grows. So now's kind of the sweet spot. Take that as you will. And honestly, it feels way more like a behind-the-scenes dev lounge than some giant faceless forum. So come hang out. Let me know what you're building. I genuinely read all of it. Keep crafting, keep deleting, and don't let your agent write last year's SwiftUI. Peace.